This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Welcome Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Thursday, February 6th, and we have got a loaded show for you today. As always, it is extremely spectacular. Dickie B's on the program today. Looking forward to that. Also joining us, Taylor Lehman from Rivals and Greg Murray, the voice of Indiana women's basketball and men's baseball. So we have got a ton to talk about. Jake's going to keep us on the track. And my running mate, Todd Leary, is here as always. Todd, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. Feeling great this morning.
It is a great day to be the Todd father, man. Dickie B's on. This is going to be unique. Here's a guy that has called many of your games, but you've never been involved in an interview with him, I am assuming.
You're assuming right. You're right on the money. I have.
That's going to be kind of cool because I guarantee you he's called many of your games back in the day.
Yeah, but it was 30 years ago, and he's called many, many, many games in between all of that. So I'm sure he is. We could bring up Calvert Chaney. He'll remember that. He'll remember Bailey.
Looking forward to it regardless. He'll remember you, no doubt. But, yeah, looking forward to that. We've got so much to talk about, Todd. Big Ten games last night, of course. Indiana's next opponent, Purdue, and Iowa after that, both playing last night in a game that did not turn out like I expected it to. We'll talk about that. Also, Wisconsin and Minnesota at it last night. That game turned out the way I thought it would, but not the way I thought it would happen either. So the Pacers, they lose a 19-point fourth quarter lead against OG Anunoby and Toronto. And Romeo Langford gets his first start for the Celtics last night. So lots going on, man. There is a ton happening right now, Todd.
Well, it's once February calendar turns and it's February 1st, basketball season really starts to take shape and start to dominate, the sports world. And that's my favorite time of year, as it is a lot of Indiana basketball fans. So it's just the expectation of making the tournament this year, I think has everybody a little bit more excited than usual because we've had a drought here for a couple seasons.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention the XFL returns this weekend, too.
Yeah, you don't need to. You don't need to.
Oh, sure. It's just another unique sporting event, man. It's just something great that going on in the sports world that we don't have to worry about football going away completely for football nuts. There you go. You got that going on. But, man, the basketball season is reaching epic form right now. What we watched Iowa, who just yesterday we both talked about how they are one of the absolute best teams in this conference, and they are. And they go to West Lafayette, and they get absolutely destroyed, 104-68. That is the second. Purdue hit the second most threes in a game in their history, 19. They hit 19 three-pointers. This was the most points since 1975, Todd Leary, this Boilermakers scored. I mean, this is an epic proportion beatdown.
Freak game. Like it was, that's one of those. I was sitting there trying to think about it last night. So as an Indiana fan and Purdue's coming in here next, do you look at it as, oh, man, they're going to come in here with so much confidence and shoot the ball well? If you're a Purdue fan, you're sitting there saying, hang on, save some of these. We need these for Saturday. And you look at it the opposite way. I know that's how Indiana fans look at it anyway. So, it's one of those deals like that can't be anything but bad for Indiana from the standpoint of the confidence level for Purdue has to just be insane right now. Like they were making everything. It was crazy.
Well, and the basket has to look 10 feet wide right now. And that's not what you want coming to see you, especially when teams have shot so well in Assembly Hall this year.
Yeah, no, that's actually really good point. Teams have come in here and somehow it's not a great shooting arena. It's not, historically, it's not been one of the better, field goal percentage arenas for teams coming in here. So, but this season seemed to be a little bit different. I mean, Maryland definitely came in here and got things rolling. Ohio State did as well. So yeah, it's been one of those places teams have come in and shot pretty well. And man, Purdue they were unbelievable last night. Like, they were crazy.
Yeah, Alan and Tim already texting in asking about that very game. I think that was a point on a lot of people's minds, man. When you see something like that, it's that's just a blowout like that of epic proportions just doesn't happen. But it takes me back in your day when you guys got beat by, I think it was Wisconsin like that.
No, Minnesota. We lost to Minnesota by 50.
Minnesota. Okay, Minnesota.
Yeah.
So it just, that stuff just, like you said, it's like a freak storm that just comes up out of nowhere when everything possible is going right for one team and everything possibly that could go wrong is going wrong for the other team. And it happened.
Iowa didn't even really play all that. I mean, they got off to a fairly bad start. I mean, they didn't get things rolling. But then after that, they were making shots and playing pretty well. So,
I think we got Dick Vitale with us.
Well, then I'll shut up because that's much more important.
Hey, we're going to welcome in the one of the greatest voices in the history of college basketball, Naismith Hall of Famer, Dick Vitale. Dick, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, no problem. Thanks for having me on. You and Todd, really appreciate you being on. I can't wait for the game Saturday at Assembly Hall. I'm going to be down there for that game and looking forward. It's a big game, man, for Indiana and Purdue. Purdue looked really great last night. I mean, it depends on what real team shows up. You know, one of Michigan State, 71-42. The one that beat the heck out of Virginia. And last night against a good Iowa team, 104-68. Wow.
Yeah, Dick, we were just talking about that very thing. It's just one of those epic proportion beatdowns. And Todd experienced that back in his playing days for Coach Knight back in the early 90s when they lost at Minnesota in a game similar to that. We were talking about how it's like a freak storm coming up, that, man, what an epic beatdown that was, and how Todd was talking about how Purdue's confidence has to just be soaring right now.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You know, they're 6-6 in the conference, and you got Indiana right now at 5-6, and you don't want to let the committee have to make a decision. You want the knockout punch, and obviously right now in the Big Ten being such a tough conference, it may be the toughest it's been, I think, in the 40 years I've been at ESPN in terms of depth factor. I mean, there might have been better teams up on top over the years, but gee whiz, when you look at the depth factor, every game is an incredible battle. I mean, you would think like the Rutgers and the Penn States in the past, you beat those teams easily. Not happening now, man. And I'll tell you, it makes every game really big. And you're Indiana now. You're playing at home, Todd. Your school down there, the Hoosiers. You're 5-6 in conference play with a 3-game losing streak. You better not lose at home.
Yeah, that's why we called in the big guns, and we brought Dick Vitale in for this game to get everybody hyped up because things have not been going well for us. So we brought in the big hitters this weekend.
Well, I don't know about big hitters. I appreciate I'm going to make you my PR director.
Yeah. Hey, Dick, have you seen a team like I can't even think back to a team that has been so Jekyll and Hyde like Purdue has, playing at home and playing on the road. I know you just mentioned those big, gigantic wins at home, but they have just been, when they go on the road, they have really struggled and not played well at all. And I can't remember in all of my days a team that has been quite that Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to playing at home and playing on the road. Can you?
Well, you know, the losses, though, are not bad. I was looking it up and preparing for the game. I mean, they've lost to some really quality teams and lost some tough, hard games. I mean, you play the Marylands and those people, they're really tough. Florida State, I mean, those are legit top 10 teams. So I don't think it's as bad as people think. And I think if you can protect your home court, steal a win or two on the road, I mean, they're going to be a March Madness. There's to me, no doubt that Purdue's going to make it. I think Indiana has to avoid a losing streak, and that's why this game is vital to them to be able to get back to the 500 category.
Yeah, Dick, Indiana had been playing well, and they played themselves into the tournament pretty comfortably, but then things are starting to slide a little bit, and in the Big Ten Conference right now, you can't afford to stub your toe because there's 10 teams waiting to take your spot.
Well, you can lose 5 in a row. Right now, you know, the most, I put it up on Twitter last night, the most ever coming from a conference was out of the Big East. They had 11 one year. I think it was in 2011. They had 11 teams. Right now, if you were to chart today, the NCAA March Madness. It'd be tough to deny 12 teams out of the Big Ten. But that's going to change because they're all going to beat each other. I mean, last night you had Minnesota beat the heck out of Wisconsin. I mean, after a while, you start getting to a scenario where you're 3-4 games under 500 in a conference. Now you put a real doubt about getting in the tournament and belonging in the tournament.
Yeah, and Dick, Indiana's been struggling a bit. Indiana's a proud program, as you know. You've been around this program and this sport for quite some time. The fans are sometimes getting a little out of order, but Indiana has a special place for you. You've been coming here for a long time. Talk about coming into venues like this that you get to come to and broadcast from.
Well, obviously it's a dream. I mean, I'm 40 years. That's what keeps me going. Some writer doing a big story on me. I told him, he says, where do you get that energy at your age, man? You get such energy and passion. I heard you the other day. And I said, you get it very simply. Because where I go, it's not work. It's fun. I mean, you kidding me? Sitting courtside at Assembly Hall for Purdue in Indiana. I mean, they're going to be honoring the 81 national championship team, I heard. So it'll be a special, special time. And to be there or I recently was at Duke, you go to Kentucky, you go to these places. I mean, how could you not get excited? It's stealing money. My mother and father worked. They worked in a factory, pressed coats. They weren't educated. They had a doctorate of love, and they inspired me big time. But what I do is stealing money. Don't tell my bosses at Disney. I love what I'm doing, but it's stealing money. Are you kidding me? Getting paid for what? Travel's a pain in the neck. Let's face it. Tonight I'm speaking over in a big event over in Salina, Kansas, and getting there and then going from there to Bloomington. And, that is the tough part. But really, as far as doing the games, that's fun, man. That's fun city.
Todd?
Hey, Dick, I know it's been so talked about, and you have just been I know there's a lot of people in broadcasting now because of you and because of the excitement you bring to the game. I mean, the games are awesome themselves. I'm a basketball nut. Obviously, you are too. And so many Indiana fans are, but you brought so much to the broadcast itself. And I think a lot of people nowadays, broadcasters that is, are kind of emulating and feeding off of what you did. But I think one of the biggest things that I love hearing you talk about, so I want to throw the softball out there and let you do it, is the gala and the fundraising that you do with the Jimmy V and for the cancer research, because I just love hearing you talk about it. So tell us a little bit more about what you got going on this year for the gala.
Todd, that's really important to me because I love young people, and to see moms and dads suffer watching their child battle cancer is brutal. I've spoken at several funerals over the years. Recently did one this past summer for a 3-year-old youngster where I live here in the Sarasota, Bradenton area, Florida. And it just crushes me. It really does. It just breaks you up big time. And I really so proud of my gala because we've raised now $29.5 million thus far for cancer research for kids. And
just
it's not enough. It's not enough. In fact, some young girl from Indianapolis who's been a member of my All Courageous team for years. I have an All Courageous team that I always bring to my gala. A bunch of youngsters battling cancer, survivors. And Tatum Parker's her name. She's terrific. Sent me a text yesterday and she's going to stop by to say hello to me at the game. Every time I see Tatum, my heart just absolutely jumps with joy because she's an example of one that has had cancer several times, serious bouts of cancer, and yet she goes out of her way at the Riley Children's Hospital to help other kids. She does a terrific job in helping others all the time. She brings toys to the hospital and just a terrific young lady. And, it's just terrible. In fact, today, I could go on and on about this. I don't bore you guys, but today, think about it. If you think you had a bad day today, people, think about this. 45 to 50 mothers and fathers today are going to hear 4 words that no mom and dad ever wants to hear. Life-changing. They're going to hear your child has cancer. Every day, 45 to 50. I'm telling you, it's pathetic. So if anybody would like to help me in any shape or form, just go to my website, Dick Vitale. Online.com. You can help me in many ways. You can make a donation. It goes to the V Foundation and it goes to pediatrics. Or you can buy some of my goodies, my books, my hats, my basketballs, every cent that I would make. Not every cent. Everyone. And there's no 60 cents on the dollar. Every cent that I would make goes in my absolute goal this year to raise $5 million. We did $4.3 million last year. I want to do $5 million. My latest book is my Mount Rushmores of college basketball. It's got a lot of Indiana in there. First of all, right on the cover is my 4 best coaches in my 40 years at ESPN. Well, obviously, the generals there, Robert Montgomery Knight, Mike Krzyzewski, Dean Smith, and Roy Williams. They are the 4 best in my 40 years. I don't want to hear people say, what about John Wood? That was before I was on TV. So anybody would like an autographed copy, I write what you want. Indiana's fantastic. Purdue is great. Whatever you want me to write, just go to dickvitelonline.com, order the book, and every dollar that I would make from that book goes to pediatrics.
Is the car raffle still going? Do you still have available chances on that, or is it sold out?
The car raffles are sold out. Yeah, we sold out actually 2 cars. We had 2 cars. We did so well in the first car. We did another car, and both are completely sold out. 1,500 chances. On May 8th at the Gala, when we honor, unbelievable. It's going to be a great night. Mark Few of Gonzaga is going to be honored. Stephen H. Smith of ESPN, he'll electrify the place. And then also Bruce Arians, football coach. Then we give out the John Saunders Awards for courage. John was such a great guy for courage, battling cancer and inspiring others. Jim Kelly, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills fame, Hall of Famer. Pat Williams is going to get a Courage Award as well. He founded and he actually was the architect who brought the Orlando Magic to Orlando. And they were given a special grant in the name of Mitch Albom's daughter, the famed journalist. His daughter passed from cancer. We're going to give $250,000 in her name to battle cancer. And Kevin Nagandi of ESPN will be our MC. And it's a special night. It's May 8th. And people can, again, go to my website and you'll find out about the gala. It'll be fantastic. I mean, one year we honored Bobby Knight and Pat Summitt together at the time they were the winningest coach in men's and women's basketball, and it was great. We raised a lot of money. We sell out every year, over 900. We get 70 celebrities that join us. They come free. You name them, we've had them there, from Magic Johnson to Kenny Chesney to Pat Riley. I mean, it's all about kids, man, and people out there who love kids, they know, man, it would crush them to hear that their child has cancer. And it's tough. And we got to get money for research. The oncologists need that help.
Absolutely. And the things that you are doing and have done are incredible. And I hope that the people continue to follow that. Make sure you go to dickievonline.com. The gala coming up on May 8th, I believe. So all kinds of things to help out for pediatric cancer research that Dick Vitale has done over the years. It's incredible, Dick.
Thanks a lot, guys. I got to run. I got another thing to do here, but I want to thank you so much for having me on. And the guys that were at the game on Saturday, come by and say hello. But again, if they can go to dickvitale.com, just all it is, dickvitale.com, and they can help us raise money and get the Mount Rushmore's book. See the general's picture right there on the cover as one of the best of the best.
Absolutely, Dickie. We'll stop by and see you at the game on Saturday, but I can't thank you enough for stopping by with us and spending some time. We appreciate you, and have a great trip out to Kansas and back.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Jim. We appreciate it, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Thank you. There's Dick Vitale joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday. We've got plenty more coming up. Greg Murray is with us, and Taylor Lehman from Rivals is going to join us as well, too. We got lots to talk about. We're back with more right after this.
Say it, come on, Brittany. You got to come on now. You got to...
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Thursday, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Just wrapped up with Dick Vitale. Always a fun time. And keeping it rolling now, we got Greg Murray on. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing well. Tough act to follow with Dickie V.
Yeah. Let's see you bring your energy level to the same as Dick Vitale right now, Greg.
Come on, baby.
I got to save it for tonight.
I'm telling you, he's got a few days off. He can rest, man. But Greg's got to get on it tonight because the women's Indiana basketball team hosts Maryland in an absolute showdown of epic proportions, Greg.
Say that again. Sorry, I cut out there for just a minute.
I said tonight the women's basketball program hosts Maryland, which has turned out to be a matchup of epic proportions, especially this time of year, as Indiana fighting for a Big Ten championship. They're only a half game out. Maryland, one of the other three teams that are at the top.
Yeah, there's no question. This has turned into, I think, without a doubt, just considering the location of it, the time, the opponent, everything that factors into it, the biggest game of the regular season. So much on the line from a Big Ten standings perspective. Maryland's in a three-way tie for first place at 9-2. Indiana is technically in fourth, but you're sitting just one game back at 8-3. Maryland beat Indiana at the Xfinity Center about 3 weeks back and beat them pretty good, to be honest. Won by 16 points, and it wasn't really that close. Indiana didn't play all that well, and have run into a Maryland team that's the reigning Big Ten champions. They are the preseason favorites to win the league, and truly, since they've joined the conference, Maryland's been the team to beat when it comes to women's basketball. So it's big from a Big Ten standings perspective. It's also arguably even bigger from a national perspective because Indiana's trying to get into that top 16 so that they can host the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament when we get to that point in time. So this is a big chance to gain another marquee win against a team that, like Indiana, is fighting for one of those top 16 spots. So for a variety of reasons, this is a big one at the Hall tonight.
Yeah, a couple of stats that aren't in Indiana's favor. Maryland leads the series 8-0, and they're averaging over 80 points a game, Greg. They are getting up and down the floor, man.
This is a really, really good team. This is a Maryland team that's ranked 13th in the country, and they were preseason number 4. This team won 29 games last year and did not lose a starter. They returned, I think, 6 of their leading 7 scorers from a year ago, lost their starting point guard due to an ACL injury in the preseason. But to counter that, not only they return all 5 starters, but they bring in the number 3 ranked freshman class and the top-ranked point guard in Ashley Owusu. So they lost one point guard and replaced them with another, and there are weapons all over the floor. And despite Maryland losing 2 of their first 4 conference games this season, I think for a moment everybody thought maybe Maryland isn't quite as good as you thought they were, but they've suddenly won 8 in a row. They're rolling. They're just honestly beating the crap out of people. They beat Michigan State by 41 their last game, and they're playing at a really, really high level. So Indiana's going to have to do maybe not everything right, but I think there's an argument to be had that Indiana will have to play their best game of the season to try and beat this Maryland team, and that's considering that they've already beaten the number 1 team in the country in South Carolina this year. They're going to have to play a whole lot better than they did 3 weeks ago when they went to College Park. You're going to have to defend, knock down shots, and take care of the basketball, and that stands in as a cliche. You can probably say that about most games, but certainly when the talent opposing you is as high as it is right now with Maryland, you're going to have to play really well.
Todd, I always tease Todd. I go, man, the women, they don't need you. The men could use Todd Leary, but the women, they've done pretty well shooting the ball this year as opposed to the men, like I said. But they've run into some they had a little stretch where they didn't play so well. They lost those 3 games in a row, but they're back out of that funk, and they've been playing a lot better. They've come from behind in games, and then they've been in the front and led by games and coughed up the lead. But that game at Iowa, man, I hated to see them lose that because that would have been such a confidence builder for them. And but they seem to be back to where they were as far as mentally playing well. And the greatest thing I love about this team, Greg, is they play so they're from 1 to 8. You never know who's going to be the leading scorer for this team.
Well, I think that's what helps make them the type of team that they are this year versus previous years, is that you have that depth where, as you said, just about anybody can have a big night. It can be Allie Patberg, who consistently runs everything from the point guard spot. She can score, she can pass. She had 9 rebounds in her last game, so can do a little bit of everything. Grace Berger has taken a phenomenal jump from freshman year to sophomore year. Jalen Penn is an established scorer. Alexa Goulbe at the 5 spot has taken another big jump from a freshman now to a sophomore. You have the senior leader in Brenna Wise, who is just exactly what you want in a floor leader and a senior. She's a hard rebounder. And then you have Mackenzie Holmes coming off the bench as the 6th player for this team, who I think, along with one of the Maryland freshmen, I think those 2 are the 2 front runners for Big Ten Freshman of the Year. And then you have different role players beyond that, but you have several players that can play well at different points in time. So even if one's off, another one can step up. Last week, a perfect example of Grace Berger has a double-double against Minnesota with 25 points and 11 rebounds and runs the show. The next time out against Wisconsin, she misses all 11 field goal attempts in regulation, hit a couple there in overtime, but went 0 for 11 and had 1 point at the end of the 4th quarter. And Indiana still found a way to come from behind by 16 points and come back and beat Wisconsin, and that was because of the play of Allie Patberg and Mackenzie Holmes. So just because one player has an off night, somebody else can step up, but they're playing well right now, and hopefully it continues.
It reminds me of the teams that Todd Lurie played on in the early 90s.
Yeah, I know you keep trying to throw me into that, but these girls are way better than I was. So we're beyond that point. But, I think definitely at times it's Greg, you've been fortunate enough to be able to watch most of all the girls games, and you get to see more consistent, higher level basketball than what the men have even been putting out on the floor, because I've watched several of the girls games on TV and got to catch a half in person. And I mean, they're just a team that looks like they enjoy playing together. Like, you see them smiling and having fun and talking to each other. And the communication to me is the thing that's really stood out the most. When I've watched them play, they're always talking to each other and they're always communicating. And then I watch the guys and I'm like, geez, how am I the only one picking up on this? Like, you guys look like, you're allergic to talking to each other. And the communication amongst the girls on the floor, ladies on the floor, I shouldn't say it that way, I apologize. But, the communication to me is really where you can tell this team likes playing together. They like what they're doing, and they're accomplishing things that I think they're just scratching the surface of what this team can really do.
Well, and you hear, I think, with different teams and different years that, okay, the team chemistry is good. They like playing with each other. But with this team specifically, it's genuine. I mean, they all get along, and it shows on the floor. And that, I think, from a defensive perspective, really stands out. The communication, as you mentioned, Todd, is really, really strong. And that defensive side is what Terry Morin's hung her hat on in her 6 years that she's been here. She's tried to improve it and said, from day one, you need to have that strong defensive base, because even on nights where you're not knocking in shots consistently, if you're strong on the defensive end, then you're going to find a way to stay in the ball game at the end. And Indiana's embraced that. They give up fewer than 60 points a game. I think it's somewhere 57, 58 a game. They've held, I think, 8 or 9 teams under 50 points or under 52 points this year. And it's pretty consistent on the defensive end. And that's where it starts. And, offensively, this is an unselfish basketball team. It goes to the point I mentioned about different players that can contribute on different nights, and they live into they don't care who scores as long as the team wins, and this chemistry of rooting for one another and playing together basketball, I think, really is put on display night in and night out.
Yeah, it shows.
Absolutely, and looking forward to seeing this team compete this year in the tournament. As you said, they're trying to get up into that top 16, Greg. They flirted with it throughout the season, and I think that they can get back there. Just if they just got to win a big game or two, and that starts tonight with Maryland coming in.
Yeah, it does. And you look at their 3 losses right now in conference play, and unfortunately, those are the 3 teams that are all one game ahead of them in the conference standings, with Iowa, Northwestern, and Maryland. And right now, all 3 of those teams are top 16 host schools. The NCAA on the women's side releases the, official top 16. They did it for the first time on Monday before Indiana played Purdue. And the Hoosiers were not a part of that. Maryland was 8, Iowa was 15, and Northwestern was 16. So 3 teams in your league that you are directly competing with for those top slots. And what adds to the pressure, I think, of tonight's game, aside from the Big Ten Conference standings, that this is the last game of the regular season against any of those 3 teams. Right now, you're 0-3. And you only play Iowa and Northwestern that one time. You get a second crack at Maryland at home, but that's where you go back to looking at that Iowa game, blowing the lead and losing in double overtime, blowing an even bigger lead late against Northwestern at home. Those games, you really come back and sting a little bit more as this season goes on. You got beat pretty good by Maryland at their place. Again, a really good team, but at least you get another chance to take on Maryland like you have tonight. So there's a lot riding on this game. You hate to overblow the importance of one singular regular season game in the middle of February, but this is a big one tonight. There's no doubt.
Absolutely, and you will be on the call for that. Looking forward, as you always are. Now, let's get to the real stuff now, the real reason we have you on. We all know that Greg Murray is just waiting for Don Fisher to get out of the way so he can take over the top spot now, right?
Boy, you just really are going to get him to never come back on our show now.
No, I'm just kidding. He knows I'm just kidding. Don's on with us each Monday, but it's got to be fun. But in all seriousness, it's got to be fun being a part of a broadcast crew. I know you guys don't get to work together, but and working with someone like Fish in what you're doing, because it's an iconic position.
Well, it is, and honestly, this is a part of a dream come true for me. I went to IU. I graduated in 2013, and then came back about a year later in the position that I'm currently in. So, one, to be able to broadcast games for the alma mater, and especially a place like Indiana, and I sit in the best seat in the house at Assembly Hall and call basketball games on the women's side, and then add to that, as you mentioned, I don't work a lot directly with Don just because we have different sports, but just being around him and getting to know Don over the last 6 years. I grew up on the north side of Indianapolis, so I grew up listening to Don on the radio. We were a muted TV, crank up the radio household back at home, both with Pacers, Colts, Hoosiers, whatever it was. And I've always said, without even knowing Don personally before I took this position, I'm probably not in radio broadcasting if it's not for Don Fisher. So I've talked to him about that, and he's been great as a mentor to me, as I've grown into the broadcaster's role. And, Don's the man. We all know that. Don is a complete legend. And just to be able to call games at Indiana University in a different aspect than he does, but it's been a dream come true, and I'm now in year 6 and hopefully have a long way to go.
Yeah, he's the epitome of a professional. I got to work alongside him for 8 years as the color guy, and I'll never forget the first time I showed up to a game, and he didn't really tell me a whole lot. I think he was kind of setting me up, but he didn't really tell me a whole lot about what I should have done coming into it. And I get there, and he has this whole book of notes and this whole big sheet made out and all this stuff. And he's like, "Well, where's your preparation stuff?" And I was like, "I've got it all in my head." Like I tried to play it off like I had done a bunch of preparation and I hadn't done anything. And he's the ultimate professional, and he taught me so much about what to look at and what to prepare for, and how to. I mean, that guy prepares more for Indiana games than people will ever know. And it doesn't matter, if they've played a team twice, if this is the second time or not, he prepares just as hard. So I know what you're talking about. I was mute the TV, listen to Don Fisher household too. So we grew up in the same light in that. But yeah, you do a great job. I know a lot of people love listening to you, and you are quickly becoming the voice of the Hoosiers on the ladies' side real quickly.
No, I appreciate the kind words.
And Greg, then you get to do one of a lot of people's favorite sports in the world, baseball. You get to call the baseball games, and on top of that, you got a defending Big 10 champion that's coming back, and they open the season next Wednesday at LSU. I can't believe that.
It's crazy, isn't it? Mid-February, who likes to talk baseball? Well, we all like to talk baseball, but who imagines playing baseball outside on Valentine's Day? But yeah, the Big 10 champs will go down to LSU, which is a one heck of a way to start the season down there at Alex Box Stadium against one of the more historic programs when it comes to college baseball. So looking forward to year 2 for Jeff Mercer's baseball side. It's going to be a very different roster from one year to the next. 10 guys were drafted, and a lot of those guys accept those draft slots and are onto the professional ranks. So I would guess, without counting it up, about half the roster is completely new. You'll have a fully new weekend rotation, and aside from maybe 3, 4, 5 bats in the lineup, there's going to be a lot of faces. But the recruiting numbers have continued to go up, and there's no doubt Coach Mercer knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to coaching a baseball team and starting on the offensive side and teaching these guys to hit and advance their game. So really looking forward to, one, getting the season started, and then for me personally, once basketball season ends and I make that flip back over to the baseball broadcast booth, it's a fun time.
Looking forward to it. Coach Mercer will be on with us next Wednesday on opening day, so we'll look forward to that. But we'll be talking to you, Greg, I'm sure, throughout the season now as the women's is starting to wind down, but the tournament time getting close. We'll be talking more about that and, of course, more about baseball as it kicks off. But thanks a lot for joining us here today, man. We really appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
You bet. There's Greg Murray, the voice of the Indiana women's basketball and men's baseball programs at Indiana University. Man, what a great show it's been already. We got more to come, though. Taylor Lehman from Rivals is going to join us as well. Plenty more to talk about. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back after this.
And Daddy, I know you ain't no real
everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-meal in the family dining area, meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a big smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Green. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Thursday. It's February 6th. Jim Coyle, Todd Leary with you as always, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Man, what a night that was last night watching those games, Todd.
Yeah, it was just incredible. I mean,
I'll be honest with you. I turned it on midway through the front half of that game, and when I saw that score, the first thing I did was text you, and I'm like, "Are you seeing this effing score? I mean, are you crazy? They're up like 30 in the first half."
I was on the phone with one of my kids sitting there going, "They're going to score 60 in the first half." I mean, they had a game a month ago where they scored 37 for the entire game.
Yes.
And they scored 61 in the first half.
Against one of the best teams in the damn league.
Yeah, that just shows you. I mean, when you're knocking down shots, it changes everything. And you know, that would have been – the game would have been different if Iowa could have knocked down any shots to start out. They started the game 0 for 11 from the three-point line. And Purdue started the game out 6 for 11 from the three-point line. So obviously you can see the difference in that.
And that is that's like a tsunami.
Oh,
it's hard to recover from it because it's not just a lead. It is it's like a big tsunami wave. It really hits you and it knocks you back on your heels, and you exert so much energy trying to just get back from that wave that there's virtually nothing left past that, and they're cruising at that point. And, man, and you take a breath, and they just roll by you again, and that's exactly what Purdue did last night.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's we talk about this all the time, but it's so interesting to think about what confidence does for you. And it was funny because the confidence didn't come from individual guys making shots. So Stefanovic started out, he made a couple shots, and then Jihad, I forget his last name. I mean, he made a couple of shots, and then you started to see the confidence for guys who hadn't even taken 3-pointers yet. Harm steps out, knocks down a 3-pointer. Stefanovic makes a couple more. Boudreau made 2 3-pointers in the first half. I mean, it was incredible to watch the guys' confidence soar when they hadn't even taken a shot yet. And it was just because other guys on the team were making shots. And that's what we've talked about with Indiana so much about, all they need to do is get a little bit of momentum. I mean, when they start the games out and shoot the ball well at the beginning of the game, it kind of feeds through the rest of the game and other guys pick up on it. But, man, when they get off to a tough start, it seems like that snowballs itself as well.
Romeo got his first start last night, man, in the NBA for the Celtics. Ended it with an emphatic dunk, but his level of play is improving. The Celtics are doing exactly what people don't understand when they kept saying last year that he's not ready, this, that. That's what the Celtics are going to take care of, and that's exactly what they have done. They've sent him down to the main Red Claws to get more training. They brought him back up. They've worked on his shot. And now you see the improvement coming in him as a player and how they are developing him.
Yeah, I mean the NBA doesn't. I mean, yeah, they would love for everybody to be ready to play when they get there, but they've also adapted to the times and know these kids are all coming out way before they're ready to get there. Because financially it only makes sense for the kids to do that. And so I get it. I don't blame them at all. But they know – we said this when he got drafted last year. I mean, he could not have gone to a better situation when it comes to development. And probably, I mean, maybe one of only 2 or 3, teams he could have gone to that – would take the time and develop him the right way and do things the right way. I mean, if he goes to Sacramento, he probably plays 3 years, plays out his rookie contract, and he's done. And we've seen that happen so many different times. But he goes to a place like Boston, or you go to San Antonio or some places like that, and I mean, they develop you. And I think they did the right thing with him and taking their time with him. And you're right, you hit it right on the head. I mean, they're developing him the way that they want him to play, and he'll probably end up being a 10 or 12-year player in the league just because of how lucky he was to get drafted by Boston.
Tim hates the second loudest arena, Mackey, in the league. Joker says Purdue was 11 of 19 from 3 in the first half. And Brad and Jasper says Purdue has 7 games so far that they haven't scored 61 for an entire game. Glad they got that hot shooting out of their system before Saturday. But, yeah, that is freaking nuts, Brad. A great stat there. 7 games where they haven't scored 61 points in the entire freaking game.
Well, that's where, we talk all the time about Indiana's offense and what they can do to, to improve and be more consistent. And one of the things we talked about was the fact that they don't rely on the outside shot. They need to make it in order to be super successful, but they don't rely on it. And this game that Purdue had, that was a fluke. I mean, there's no one is going to expect Purdue to make 19 3-pointers.
It's the most points they've scored in 45 years, Todd. Yeah, so there's how much of a fluke that is.
And making 11 3-pointers, like I know he gave the stat of they haven't scored 61 points in 7 games, but I bet they haven't hit 11 3-pointers in more than 80% of their games. I bet, and that's what they hit in the first half. So, it was definitely a fluke type situation. You just wonder, you'll wonder, we'll all be watching the first 2 or 3 3-pointers that go up for them on Saturday, because if they go in, they'll build right off of this confidence they've got. If they don't, then we'll kind of realize it was more of a fluke.
Well, first of all, we know it was part fluke because
for sure.
It doesn't matter who the hell that team was. That's part fluke. It's part being at home, because we've seen how comfortable they are at home. They're not going to have that luxury here. But we've seen teams, i.e. Maryland, come in and just shoot the stinking lights out. But Indiana, on the other hand, they've got to play good perimeter defense as well, something they have not soared. That's not been their greatest achievement this year is perimeter defense, but they've got to do a better job of that, at least to keep Purdue off balance and not let them get into a rhythm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still going to come down to, I know the focus right now is on 3-pointers because of how many they made, but I can assure you this ball is going to be passed around the perimeter for Purdue, and they're going to dump it inside to Travion Williams. They're going to dump it inside to Matt Harms. I mean, they're still going to play from the inside out, and don't let that fool you. Even though they made all those 3-pointers, they made a lot of them on kicking it out from the inside. So they're still going to play through the inside, I'm sure.
Who's got the advantage there? You've got Matt Harms, who's a 7-footer, but Indiana has more. It seems like Indiana has more than what Purdue has, but Purdue has bigger. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably pretty even with that. I think Brunk and Trace Jackson Davis are probably fairly equivalent to Matt Harms, and Harms is not a guy that's going to pound you, but he scored some baskets last night, even up over the top of Luka Garza, that they just lobbed the ball. And Luka Garza is 7 feet tall as well, but at 7'2" with long arms, they just threw the ball up to Matt Harms. He caught it and laid it in, and they'll pound it inside. Don't be fooled by this. They're not going to come in here and try to make 19 3-pointers again. They're going to come in here and pound the ball inside and try to get Indiana in foul trouble. They get Trace Jackson Davis out of the game. You know what an advantage that is.
Iowa, only 68 points. You have the player in the league. They did a pretty good job on him, and because I remember I asked who's gonna stop Luka Garza. Well, they did a good enough job on him last night. Is there a formula?
Here's the crazy part. He had 25 points, but you want to know the stat? You want to know the crazy stat with Luka Garza? He had 1 rebound. That's
unbelievable.
One rebound.
I mean, is that just because of height with Purdue, or are they just working hard to box out?
A part of it is because they didn't miss very many shots.
Well, there's that.
I mean, Purdue just shot the ball. In the first half, there wasn't hardly any rebounds to get, but still 1 rebound. Iowa only had 20 rebounds in the entire game.
Well, you don't like you said. There are no rebounds. There's no opportunities when you don't miss.
I know. Here's a crazy stat I looked at. Iowa only had 20 rebounds in the game, and Purdue had 29 assists. 29 assists. When's the last time you saw a team with 29 assists? I'll bet you could add up almost all of Indiana's games throughout the year, combine 2 games in a row, and they don't have 29 assists.
Yeah, that's something.
It's nuts,
man. So, Indiana is going to have to find a game where they pick up the pace shooting wise. They need a game like they had against Maryland again. They played so well in that game, except for the last stinking 2 minutes. That's a game. If they play like that without that last 2 minutes, they'll win virtually any game that they're in against any opponent.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, hey, you know what? I mean, Indiana fans should have sat back last night loving every second of the fact that happened for Purdue last night, because if that happens against Indiana, they could have been playing Duke last night. Whoever Purdue was playing last night, they were going to win no matter what. So thankfully that wasn't Saturday's
including
ball game.
The Celtics.
In anyone, I'm telling you, they would have beat anyone last night. So, Indiana has got to come out and establish the pace of play. It's going to be interesting because both these teams, I think, try to play through the inside out. I mean, there's been games when Travion Williams, I mean, he had 38 points, I think, against Michigan. There's been games when he touches it every time down the court. And then, like last night's game, for example, he barely touched the ball at all. And it wasn't because they were trying to shoot 3-pointers. They started the game out trying to pound it inside, and it led to the fact that they knocked down a couple shots, and then it was just a feeding frenzy from there. But, Indiana has got to establish the pace of play. They can't let what happened against Ohio State happen again. And that was C.J. Walker just dictating the pace of play. I mean, I said it after that game, Indiana only took 42 shots in that last ball game that they had. And you can't win games when you're only taking 42 shots. That's just not enough possessions. You can't physically score enough points to win doing that.
It's going to be an exciting time this weekend, man. You got a rival coming in Purdue. You've got Vic Vital in the house. I wonder how long. And this is something I wanted to ask him. He had to go a little sooner than I'd hoped. But I wonder when the last time he actually did a game in Assembly Hall. I mean, he used to do it pretty frequently, but then that has really slowed down these last couple of years. I'm trying to think. He may have done a game there last year. I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably been a couple of seasons. I mean, he doesn't usually escape outside of the ACC very often. I mean, he's usually ACC country over there doing Duke or North Carolina games, and I don't blame him for that. I mean, those have been incredible games for years.
Well, it's less travel. He lives in Florida, so it's a lot closer for him. And now they have Jay Billis. He's basically the A team. Dick Vitale is kind of the B team.
I mean, he's kind of the celebrity team when you bring him in. I mean, he's and believe me, I grew up. We all grew up listening to Dick Vitale. I mean, he brings an excitement, whether you like him or don't like him.
We're getting a picture with Dick Vitale.
Oh, for sure. No doubt. He brings a level of excitement.
I never do that. That's something that I never do, but we're doing that. We're getting a picture with Dick Vitale.
Yeah, I don't do it very often either, but I'm willing to do it with Dick Vitale. He's pretty cool. Clark Kellogg, Dick Vitale. I mean, our two guests in the last week have been pretty darn good.
Yeah, that's our fans love. They love the great guests, but we got plenty more. Speaking of coming up, Taylor Lehman from Rivals is going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit about the yesterday's signing period, what Indiana ended up with, and we'll talk some more basketball as well. But plenty more to get to here on Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat, Roy O'Leary, Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Thursday. You got it all. Hope you are having a good day. We appreciate you joining us. Always been a great show already. Dickie V was on with us in the first hour, along with Greg Murray, the voice of the women's basketball program at IU and baseball team. We've had a lot of fun already. Plenty more coming up. Taylor Lehman from Rivals will join us in the next segment. Plenty to get caught up with there. Last night also, Todd, Minnesota and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a team that has been playing probably above their heads a lot of this season, but they've done it for a while, so it's not like we can say it's been fluky. But they go into Minnesota, and we talked about that how both teams need this win. Minnesota's at the bottom looking up, and they were on life support, and this continues their ability to move forward. It hurts Wisconsin. It doesn't kill them in any way, but it definitely hurts them to lose to Minnesota. But Minnesota is not giving up, man. They're still fighting for a spot, and they still legitimately have a shot at making the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, it was funny to hear Dick Vitale earlier talk about Purdue and how he thought for sure Purdue was in the NCAA tournament at this point in the season. And, you know, they've got the same record as Wisconsin does right now overall and in the Big Ten. And, you know, they're only a half game different than Minnesota overall and the same record in the Big Ten. So, you know, he mentioned right now that 12 teams out of the Big Ten would be in if it ended today. You know,
which I don't buy that. I think it's a little high for me.
I don't even think that's even remotely possible. But
yeah, me either.
I mean, how do you argue? You either have to leave all those teams out or put them all in, because they've all had, you know, Purdue's probably had the best wins out of all of those, but they've also probably had the worst losses out of all of those. So, I mean, I just don't know. You can make an argument all the way across the board on those. It's going to be crazy. I mean, he said it. It's true. They'll all beat themselves up enough in the, you know, towards the end of the season that it'll play itself out. But 12 teams right now. I mean, how could you make an argument right now between Wisconsin, Purdue, and Minnesota? It'd be very difficult to say which ones of those teams should be in.
I'm looking at the net rankings right now, and Purdue's 39th. And Penn State's 24th. I'm just looking at this one little section. But just from 24th to 39th, in that little 15-team span, you've got Penn State, you've got Rutgers, you've got Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Purdue. There's a big chunk. There's like a third of the Big Ten right there.
So where's Indiana?
They're like 51st.
50, right. So how do you – I mean, the net rankings, that stuff is just garbage. Right now,
Minnesota 44th.
Right. It's just that's just weird how they come up with those net rankings and how that stuff works. But still, you know, you look at it, and I guess it's because, you know, I guess people right now say Indiana is in for sure because of the 15 wins. Is that the number? Or is it because of the win against Florida State? I mean,
I think they've got enough quality wins and no horrible losses that I think that they're fine. They're 51st in the net rankings, which would be last of the Big Ten teams that I think are going to make the tournament.
I know that's what's weird about it.
Here's the thing: you got Minnesota at 44 and Indiana at 51. Those two teams are a combined 2-12 on the road in the conference. They are two of the worst road teams in the conference, so it's no surprise that they're toward the bottom. These other teams that have sitting there, you know, Purdue is still managed to
What's
win.
Indiana? 1-5?
Yes.
And what is like Purdue? What's Purdue and Wisconsin?
Purdue's not a lot better. Purdue is 2-6. Wisconsin maybe 3 wins. Where did they go? Where are they?
They were like 30 some.
Man,
but I mean, but when you look at that, I mean, you say Purdue's 2-6, Indiana's 1-5. I mean,
Wisconsin's 3-5 on the road. That's pretty damn good in this conference.
8 opportunities though. That's 8 opportunities. Indiana's only had 6. So I mean, that's a big difference.
Well, okay, that means they'd have to win their next 2 road games. I don't see that happening.
Don't take it so personally.
No, I'm not.
Saying,
I'm just saying.
You're saying they're one of the worst road teams because they only have one win, but the other team has had 2 more opportunities. That's
okay,
a big
but
difference.
if you look at it from a percentage, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the situation. That means they only have to play 2 more games to equal that out. I don't think they're going to win back-to-back road games. So if you add 2 more road games, which they will have, they will more than likely they're going to be 1 in 7 or whatever that number is going to be.
Their next 2 road games are against at Michigan and at Minnesota. I think Indiana will win at least one of those 2 games.
I say they do not. They have shown me zip on the road, and they're not exactly killing people at home. They're winning, but they're not killing people. They're getting by, and then they go on the road, and they're not doing that. So I don't see them having any strength on the road whatsoever. So if they haven't shown it to me thus far, doesn't mean that they can't do that, because every team in here can turn it around. We've seen what can happen, but I haven't seen it thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they haven't shown it. They have 1 road win, so I'm with you in that regard. It's just if you look at Michigan's not playing very well right now, and Minnesota is always beating.
And they just lost at home. And they just lost at home to Ohio State, who's not exactly a great team.
They lost a game that's going to put them in a bad position.
Nothing's going to surprise me. Yeah,
Michigan's in a really bad position right now.
Yeah, that loss hurt them.
So they're 13-9 overall right now. Purdue's 13-10, but Michigan's 4-7 in the conference, and Purdue's 6-6. But Michigan has wins over Gonzaga, North Carolina, Iowa State, and Creighton, all teams that will easily be in the tournament.
Not North Carolina. North Carolina won't make the tournament. North Carolina won't make the NIT.
True. But at the time, they were ranked number 6 in the country.
Right.
Well, and you're right. You're right about that for sure. But
those other teams are good teams. They've got some good wins, but
they're on the verge right now. I don't think Michigan makes the tournament.
Michigan is definitely on the way out. Purdue,
I think they're one of the
Purdue was on their way out, and they did a little about face with that win last night.
Yeah, totally agree.
Not only does that a win, but it's an attention getter. That's an attention getter.
They have 3 attention getters. They have 3 attention getters this year. I mean, they beat Virginia by 29, they beat Michigan State by 29, and they beat Iowa by 36. All ranked teams. So yeah, they got 3 attention.
Not just ranked teams, a defending national champion.
Yep,
is defending national champion. So
yeah, but they have a chance of not making the tournament too because they're awful.
Yeah. It's a weird season, man.
It is.
It's really just been so weird. Hey, the XFL returns this weekend too. Don't worry. 8-team league on ABC on Saturday at 2:00. Seattle versus DC. I know Todd's not into it, but who knows what it's going to be like. I haven't. They're trying to do some stuff different. It'll be wild to see what it's like, or if it's it can't be the same as the NFL, so they've got to do some different things. I forget what some of the unique things are. Jake, do you have any idea? They have like some different rules and whatnot.
It'd be cool is if they figured out a way to make it like a combination between football and MMA fighting.
I think somebody has said that before.
That'd be pretty cool. I would watch that. That'd be worth watching. You let it, you give them like, instead of just a tackle, you get like 3 punches and 2 kicks. I'd watch that.
Kind of a no penalty kind of a thing. Like
no unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in the league. That'd be pretty sweet.
Let's see.
Antonio Brown, is Antonio Brown in the league?
No, that wouldn't be a bad move. How about a double forward pass or a 3-point play or a 5-round overtime? That's some of the stuff that I think that we're looking at. Let's see. Double forward pass. If a team completes a forward pass behind the line of scrimmage, that player has the ability to attempt another forward pass as long as the ball has at no time crossed the line of scrimmage.
So you can throw a screen. You can throw a screen, and then that guy can throw it again.
Right, and the only difference is he's not behind the quarterback, which would be behind the line of scrimmage.
Right, yeah. It's just not lateral.
That's not a big deal. That's not a big change, but a little bit of one. It just makes the defender have to stay on his toes no matter what. Defender. point after touchdowns, extra points in the NFL are traditionally given. In fact, PATs have such a high success rate, the league moved it back 15 yards. In the XFL, no extra points will be free points. Offenses will have 3 options to try and add to the 6 points they've scored following a touchdown. A team can attempt a 1-point offensive play from the 2, a 2-point try from the 5, or a 3-point play from the 10. Now, I like that.
I don't hate it.
That's kind of cool.
I don't hate it.
Overtime, we want the ball and we're going to score. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Matt Hasselbeck infamously declared in 2004. So what are they doing here? The XFL is introducing a 5-round overtime this season. Think hockey shootouts or penalty kicks in soccer. Teams will alternate 5 single-play possessions with the team scoring the most. Each score is worth 2 points, declared the victor. Kind of like soccer. It's like penalty kicks.
From what yard line?
The XFL has been. I didn't say. Or did it say?
Because if it's probably from the 2-yard line. If it's 2 point or from the 5-yard line. If it's 2-point conversions, because that's what they were given.
Probably. But that's
interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Very cool. Let's see. Anything else?
Okay, I take it back. I'll probably watch it.
They got some other stuff in there. Rules on kickoffs, punts, timing, and replays. XFL feature a 25-second play clock. What? God, it's like 40 in the NFL, I think. A running game clock outside of 2 minutes, and a 10-minute halftime. You can knock this out and go to lunch, baby.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I'll make if figure skating is the only other thing on, I will watch the XFL. There you go.
Oh man. But there you go. It's Jeff Brom, the football coach at Purdue, he played in the XFL.
What?
He got knocked. Yeah, he was a quarterback in the XFL after he played in the NFL. He got knocked out in one game too. And then the next week they're interviewing him. He goes, "Are you ready to play?" He goes, "Am I breathing?"
I like that attitude.
It was great. It was the XFL WWE style. Am I breathing? Ready to go get it?
Yeah, I mean the XFL. Look, they're just trying to. The NFL is worth what? Billions or gazillions or quadrillions or whatever they are. Billions. I mean, so the XFL is just trying to get whatever percentage market of that they can get in the off season.
Oh, man. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Taylor Lehman from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. See what Indiana ended up with after yesterday's football signing day. We do know that they did lose one of their defensive coaches, Mark Hagan. He is off to Texas. Well, it's not been officially announced, but sources out of Texas say that. Let me say that. But he's heading to Texas. His family lives down there. He coached at Texas A&M. He's from IU, played at IU, from Indiana, from Carmel. But he also coached at Texas A&M, wife, family. They stayed in Texas when he came back for this job because the kids were in school, and I think that's a big part of it. You heard.
You want to know how that conversation probably went down?
Matt Weaver.
Hey, what's the temperature in Bloomington? Oh, it's 20. It's 22. And what is
it in Austin, Texas?
What is it in Austin, Texas? It's 81. I think we'll stay here for the season.
Oh, I promise you. And he was making damn good money here. Guarantee he's getting a raise.
Yeah,
ain't a bad gig. It's not a bad gig. Hey, we got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Corey O'Leary on this Thursday, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Taylor Lehman from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com, is going to join us next. Stay tuned. We're back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway, Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Yeah, he has been released, and so he'll be full bore for spring ball. We don't hit our quarterbacks in the spring, so that won't change. So, but he'll be. Whereas last spring he was not full, so he just drew 7-on-7 throughout the spring. Did not really take team reps, and so he has been fully cleared for that, and so is doing a great job. And so he's close to 220. I mean, he's about, I think, 217, 218 right now. So really changing himself there, which is really important. So, but yeah, he'll be. Plan is our spring game is scheduled to be, on a certain date, and we'll announce that here soon. But he'll be in those practices and getting a lot of reps and going full bore with the team and doing everything, no limitations.
There's Coach Tom Allen, Indiana football coach, talking about Michael Penix, the reigning starting quarterback. And now we're joined by Taylor Lehman from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. Taylor, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Cannot complain. Welcome in. Todd Leary with us as always as well. Yesterday, of course, the February signing period for college football. Not a huge class for Indiana. We talked about this already somewhat because of they just had a small class and a smaller allotment. So they didn't have a big splash in this, but I think they got some people that they were wanting to get. Taylor?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously the big one being Rayshon Williams, the wide receiver out of Detroit. At the time of his commitment, he was one of the highest ranked recruits that Indiana had ever, commit to the program. But, that's fallen off a little bit. But I think there are some other guys in here too that, ratings are pretty tough whenever it comes to Indiana recruiting classes. But, I think David Baker, I think he's going to be a really good playmaker out of Indianapolis. Javon Swinton, maybe one of the best athletes in this class, is going to start at wide receiver. He's out of Virginia. He was an all-state basketball player there. Tamarje Lewis, I think he's going to be a guy that comes in and makes a splash. even with the departure of Mark Hagan. But there are a lot of guys in this class that I think, I mean, even like some of the lower ranked guys, the guys that weren't necessarily given as many offers. I think the first one that comes to mind is Bryson Bonds, the safety out of Texas. He was at the 5A level and just he played with like 7-on-7 guys, the 5 stars, 4 stars kind of guys, and was definitely an overlooked guy. Kane Womack, I know. Bryson told me that Kane Womack was really excited about his commitment, and he's a smart kid, knows the game. There's just a lot of kids like that in this class where their skill sets are very particular, and I think that's kind of what separates this class from other ones.
Yeah, and Indiana's a team that they've got a lot coming back next year. They've got a ton coming back on offense, as a matter of fact. They're pretty set. Of course, the centerpiece, obviously, is Michael Penix, and we know what happened with him. He went down. He was very injury-prone last year, and his season ended under surgery. But Coach Allen, we just heard him there on the piece coming back, that he's ready, he's cleared, he's ready to go. He'll be in spring practice and gaining weight, and that's good news because, in the press conference yesterday, that's what I talked to him about. Jack Tuttle, his emergence has got to be there because he had a hell of a safety blanket last year with Peyton Ramsey. He's not going to have that next year.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, he's getting up to close to 220. I think the highest he said was the highest Tom Allen said he was at 218. So he's getting there. He measured in at 202 last season, and so he's already putting on some weight, and I think that's good news. Yeah, I think you're right. He just needs to kind of bulk up a little bit, and he never really had a chance to do that, and so now he's cleared. He's in the weight room, getting a chance to add on some weight. I think that's really crucial, as long as it doesn't take away from things like his arm talent, things like that, which I don't think it will. But the thing about the quarterback rooms now, it's really tough because with all the quarterbacks that went down in the Big Ten, it kind of derailed a lot of seasons. You look at Maryland. Obviously Rutgers wasn't going to have a great season anyway, but their season was also derailed because they had a freshman quarterback, and there were a lot of instances of that. But it seems like in quarterback rooms, you can never have enough quarterbacks because if one goes down, you need a quality one to step up to keep your season on the right track. And Indiana kind of had a luxury there because they had Peyton Ramsey there behind Mike Penix, and I don't think that's a luxury that a lot of teams have. So when you look going forward, in 2019 they had a 1A, 1B, and a good 2 in Jack Tuttle. Now they have they have their 1 and Mike Penix, their 2 and Jack Tuttle, and then they have the freshman Dexter Williams, which people are pretty high on him, but he's still a freshman. There's a lot to learn. So, but that's not any. It's not any different than what a lot of other programs are in right now. So if you have 3 scholarship quarterbacks, that is a good number to have, even though it seems like you want 4 or 5. That's just how it is nowadays.
Yep, and then, of course, on the basketball side of things, we've been talking about this quite a bit, but Indiana's next opponent, Purdue, in action last night, Taylor, up at home against a really, really good Iowa team, and they flat embarrassed the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, no, you're right. That was a heck of a 3-point shooting performance. But I think I was listening to you guys a little bit ago, and I kind of agree with Todd. It's kind of one of those things where it was just a great night. Whether or not it happens again on Saturday is to be determined. But I know Indiana's kind of they've seemed like they've struggled on perimeter defense at times, and the odds of a team. Obviously we saw Ohio State put together really good 3-point shooting performances early in the season is kind of what helped them get to, the number 2 ranking in the country. And now we kind of see where they're at now. But, whether or not they can put together 2 straight performances like that is to be determined. I know it's tough for teams to come in and shoot lights out in Assembly Hall, but we've seen some guys and some teams do that this season. So, no, I understand. I completely understand the concern that a lot of fans are expressing this morning after seeing that performance last night from Purdue.
Well, Taylor, you became one of our favorite guests when you said you agreed with Todd at the beginning of that sentence. So, that there in itself just proves that you kind of know what you're talking about a little bit. But
Jake, take his number off the list, please.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah. I mean, and in looking at this game coming up for Indiana, I mean, I really think you throw out the performance that they just had that Purdue just had against Iowa, because it's not really that's not the way they're built. That's not the way they plan on playing, and that's not what they're going to come in here and try to accomplish. And I think Indiana, really, what I am looking for from Indiana is to dictate the pace of play and dictate how things go up and down the court. And if Indiana wants to speed it up, I think they need to speed it up. And when they want to slow it down, I want to see them slow it down. But so far in all the road games for Indiana, they have really let the other team dictate the pace of play. And that's something here at home that Indiana can't allow. And if they do that and they control how they want to play, I think they'll control Purdue. But if Purdue comes in here and knocks some shots down right off the bat and Indiana's playing from behind, it could turn into a really ugly game like we saw last night for Purdue.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's been all season. You know, the beginning of the halves determines so much of how Indiana plays the rest of that half. You know, like the first 2 minutes are two of the most crucial minutes of each half for Indiana this season. And, you know, that can kind of be a touch and go thing, especially when you're talking about a rivalry like Indiana and Purdue at any site. You know, it doesn't matter if it's Assembly Hall or Mackey Arena. It's you know, kind of those things kind of go out the window at that point. Like, these two teams are on the court together, anything can happen. And I think, you know, obviously, I think Joey Brunk is going to have to step up in this game against Trayvon Williams, just being as big as he is, and Trace Jackson Davis as well. But just handling those physical guys inside, that's kind of been a struggle recently for Indiana, and it's kind of baffling. I didn't think that was ever going to become an issue. I knew that they would get banged up a little bit, but I didn't know the physicality on the inside was going to become an issue for this team. But you know, that's also a concern when you have Purdue coming into Bloomington.
We'll see. One football note before I let you go. I forgot. I kind of skipped over that. Mark D'Antonio, his resignation. That's going to affect the Big Ten East specifically that Indiana plays in, because that was an unexpected resignation. I don't care what anybody says. They can talk about it all they want, but I think he was pretty much forced out of that deal. But regardless, Indiana has been trying to move up, and Taylor, now is this an opportunity? Because we saw the chinks in the armor of Michigan State last year, and you know, Indiana, they've got to move up in this, crack that Big Four. Yeah, no, for sure. I think, you know, I think especially if the recruiting class is dipped for Michigan State, I think this is one of those perfect situations when you talk about a changing of the guard in the Big Ten, because there was always that top four there in the Big Ten East, and then Indiana was like trying to push up against that ceiling they just couldn't break through, you know, and so if Michigan State dips at all, and I'm expecting that they will, but Indiana can take advantage of that, and that's just kind of the slow progression that Indiana's had to make, and this is just another step in that. And obviously, you know, Michigan State, they're going to get a good coach. I don't think they're gonna make terrible hires, and I think Michigan State is an attractive enough place to go and coach a team. But if the recruiting classes dip at all, if guys transfer out of this class, which is completely understandable if they do. They lost one. This is one of those situations where Indiana can kind of take that fourth spot in the Big Ten East, and that's and also if you just look at even when Mark D'Antonio was there, they only reached they didn't reach 8 wins in 3 of their last 4 seasons, so they were already kind of showing, you know, some downward trends there. So, you know, this is like you said, it's a good opportunity for Indiana. We'll see kind of how that coaching position shakes out, but yeah.
Hey Jim, I actually liked when I wanted D'Antonio to stay there, because you kind of knew what you were going to get, and I think Indiana was right at the point where they were getting ready to overtake them a little bit. You bring in a new coach with a new system and all that. I mean, they may bring in somebody that's better, more exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
Because D'Antonio's style of football is not fun and exciting, and it's been boring, and you kind of know what you were going to get. And I think Indiana was just at that point to start overtaking them. So it was kind of a letdown for me. I was hoping he would stay there a couple more years, because I think Indiana would have made that leap over the top of him.
Yeah, I'm glad not to have to look at him anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I know you don't like him. You called him a dick. You called him a dick yesterday.
He is a dick. It's because he is. That's the best way you describe him. Taylor, where can the folks find the information for Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com?
Yeah, they can find it at thehoosier.com. I mean, we have some subscription deals going on until the end of the day today, so National Signing Day subscription deals. that I recommend anybody check out. You can get 3 months of a subscription for $10, and that's a heck of a deal.
People,
So,
3 months for $10, that's $3 a month. What are you people waiting on?
It is inside information too. It's all the stuff you need to know. Here's the funny part. Like, I was reading on it because in basketball, like, I feel like I know recruits, and I see a guy play, I feel like I know enough about him. But football, I rely completely on what you guys say about them because you've seen them in person. You've seen what they can do, and we rely completely on everything you say about that. So I look forward to seeing what you've got to say about the new recruits.
Yeah. Also, guys, some news just broke. I don't know if you saw it this morning, but Ronnie Walker is in the transfer portal. The running back out of Indiana.
You buried the lead. Ronnie Walker's in the transfer portal, and you didn't say that. What?
Yeah, no. It just broke. I actually just published a story when you guys called me. I published it on thehoosier.com. A source confirmed to me that Ronnie Walker is in the transfer portal. That leaves 3 scholarship guys in the backfield for Indiana as they enter the spring here.
Wow. Now that one is unexpected, and that's really I don't get that. What year is he? Is he going to be a junior?
He's going to be a junior, yeah. But I think it does make a little bit of sense when you think, Stevie Scott came in the same class as him. Stevie Scott's probably going to be the starter over Ronnie Walker at any point in their careers. Ronnie Walker is a guy that has a lot of talent. He came in, he was a 4-star guy, dropped down to a high tier 3-star. He was the number 22 running back in the country in his class in 2018. But then, he just kind of took on a pass protection role in the backfield in 2019. And then Samson James came in and he really stamped his mark on that backfield, especially.
Speaking of which, Taylor, here's the take for you. I say Samson James is the starting running back next year.
That's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be. I think the thing that would keep Samson James from being the starting running back is that he doesn't work in the passing game as much as Stevie Scott does. And Stevie Scott made a heck of an effort, especially between last season and this season, to become more of a pass catching running back. And that showed. I think that's probably what would give Stevie Scott the advantage there. But Samson James is a heck of a talent. We could definitely see
he's a better running back. If you want to be honest with you, I think he's a better running back.
Hey, Taylor, this is also why we consider Jim a baseball guy.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I think Samson James is a better running back from a speed perspective. That's the one thing that Stevie Scott just lacks. He doesn't have that burst speed. He never got out away from traffic last year. He doesn't have that burst speed, and Indiana's so used to that. Indiana's had a ton of great running backs over the years. The last great one they had, of course, Tevin Coleman or Jordan Howard, but Tevin Coleman. But both of those guys, strength and speed, and Stevie Scott just doesn't seem to have that speed where Samson James rather has that speed. I saw it in the Purdue game a couple of times. He got out, man. He got away, and that's something we did not see all season from Stevie Scott. That's the only reason I said that. And I think if he could develop a little bit more along with that burst speed, he could take over. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the biggest thing was that Samson James needed to develop the patience as a college running back. And I think we really saw that play out as the season went on, and it kind of culminated with the Purdue game. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how Mike Hart and Nick Sheridan kind of handle those two guys. And then with Tim Baldwin coming in, I know Tim Baldwin's a guy that they expect to kind of be ahead of the curve in some development as well. So we'll see how all those guys contribute and what additions they might make. I know Rod Lloyd is a really, really good walk-on guy behind them, so they might not feel like they need to bring in another scholarship guy, but we'll see. We'll see.
Taylor Lehman, thanks for joining us, brother. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
You bet. As always. Taylor Lehman from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. We got lots more to get to. We don't even have to break yet, do we, Jake? No. Are we in the second break right now?
Yes.
Second segment. Yeah, just want to make sure. I looked at the clock and I'm like, wait a minute. My
Dickie V threw us off the schedule today.
Yeah, it did. It sure did, man. It's so funny too. When you get off a schedule, it's funny how it messes with you the entire day. I'm like, what?
We get so trained on when you're supposed to say what and do what and break, and then all of a sudden it's off by 3 minutes and my whole day is screwed up.
I'm telling you, it'll. I'll be thinking it's Sunday.
I agree.
Oh, man. What a great weekend coming up, though. Indiana's got a big game with rival Purdue on Saturday. Also, hey, I wish I didn't try to get him on because he wouldn't have come on to talk about it. But Pat Graham's son
is playing Damon Bailey's son Saturday afternoon. Where is that here in Bedford?
I think it's in Bedford. Yeah. Pretty sure it's in Bedford.
But my friend Kevin Brockway, who's actually friends with Dick Vitale as well, and helped me with that. But and I'll have Kevin on Monday probably to talk about this. But he had a nice, really, really nice piece. Go CNHI Kevin Brockway on Twitter or wherever you can find him. But he's got a really nice piece that he wrote up about Damon Bailey's son. He went down there and did a piece on. So that's a pretty good piece if you want to read that. But yeah, it's pretty cool, man, that those two guys are playing. Can you imagine that? Those two sons playing each other? That's kind of wild.
It is. It's crazy. I mean, and you think about, it's just fun because I know how much time and energy and everything Pat has. Pat actually has two sons that play on that team. So I
knew. I forgot. Are they 2 years apart?
Yeah, they're 2 years. He's got a senior and a
sophomore,
I believe. I don't know. Now that I say that, I think they're 2 years apart.
And we're talking about Evansville, Memorial,
yeah.
And of course Bedford North Lawrence for what's Bailey's son's name? Daggone it, drawing a blank all of a sudden.
Jackson.
No. Bailey's son's name, his first name.
Jackson Bailey.
No, it's not Jackson. I can't.
It's not. Dang,
no.
I can't think of it. Too.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now, but I just am. Somebody will text us in and say it doesn't matter. But what's that?
But hey, back to our point we were making last week.
Braden.
Good one.
Braden Bailey. That's it. Yes.
But this is a big game for Bedford. I know we talked about this last week, but this is one of their games that's against a school that has more than 400 kids in it. So yeah, this is a really big game for them.
I wish I could get Damon Bailey on. I swear to God I do. And I would tell him that you said every point you got came against nobodies.
Not every point, but the majority of them. Not every point, but the majority of them. Hey, Coach Knight used to do all that talking for me because in practice, whenever anything bad would happen,
I bet he wore his ass out.
Coach would always say, "You're not playing against Mitchell this weekend." So that's the only reason why I know the teams that Bedford played against because Coach Knight used to quote him all the time.
Hey, we got plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Coyle and Larry back with more right after this.
Oh, baby, honey, what's wrong with you?
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Easing down the highway in a new Cadillac. I had a fine fox in front, I had three more in the back. They sporting short dresses, wearing spike heel shoes.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary with you here, coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday, February 6th. Man, the weather has been so freaking typical. Up and down. We had, 69, 70 degrees just the other day. Now we got snow. I guess you can't complain. If you got 60, 70 degrees, you got to shut up and just suck it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at
it is February.
The fact that it is February the 6th or whatever, I mean, this is probably what we expect around here. But, then turn around looking at it, it's going to stay in the 40s next week. And, I mean, heck, it could be 4 degrees right now. So I'll still take it.
I guarantee it. Man, how about the show already today? Fun.
It's been fast-paced.
How about my boy Taylor Lehman? I can't believe him. Ronnie Walker enters the transfer portal and he buried the lead and saves that for the end. I'm like, what? I'm like, you didn't lead with that? What are you doing? So now I'm digging that up because all that has happened while we've been on the show.
So the transfer portal, does that mean he's a grad transfer?
No.
So it's just a transfer portal. So
anybody can transfer. They now have that, so it makes it easier. You just enter the transfer portal to transfer. And it's good that they've done this because now when they move forward and make these transfers, these one-time transfers allowed, you're going to need something like this. And it allows the schools, it allows them to not have to deal with the people at their school if they don't want to, because if there's a situation going on where you don't want that, they don't have to do with that. They just have to fill out the proper forms or whatever, and they're in it.
I can't remember the coach's name from Virginia Tech. I can't think of what his name was.
Yeah, I can see him right now.
Did you see what he did? Did you see what he came out with yesterday? He came out with a statement and said if any of his players enter the transfer portal, they are not welcome back. So if you enter the transfer portal, they're gone.
Well, that's all big and bad, of course, but how many players enter the transfer portal and come back? Nobody. That's the whole reason of entering the transfer portal is to get the hell out of Dodge.
Like take the Peyton Ramsey, for example.
Well, that's a different scenario. He's we're talking two different sports, so it does make a difference. But the Peyton Ramsey situation is completely different. He's given his all to the school, so you're not going to have that situation where if he had a guy like that and he still said that, he probably need an ass whipping. Because that's bullcrap. If you got a guy like Peyton Ramsey and sacrificed,
I disagree with you because I think the way I look at it from a team perspective, you're either all in or you're all out. And if you want to test the waters and see what's out there, you better jump in head first because you're not dipping your toe in to find out what's out there and then coming back and trying to be a part of this team. I mean,
I agree with that because once you say that you don't want to be a part of that team anymore, you've kind of broken that deal. Well, sure. but like I said, I don't think that hardly anybody that enters the transfer portal does so with the intent of not following through with that.
Yeah, well, that's probably true.
But
I'll still mind his take on it.
But it's a good statement to make because it gives us something to talk about.
True.
By that coach. I mean, it's good to see a coach come out and say that though. Because there are situations where you see guys like who was it? damn it. Where's the team? The guy, Wisconsin's guy. Then I see that's a total
Kobe
different.
King.
That's a total different situation from, say, Peyton Ramsey. And again, I know we're talking about apples and oranges here with sports, but here's a guy who this is his third season, and it just ain't the place for me in the middle of the damn season. Now that pisses me off.
Yeah, that's crazy. And
really, you can't wait to the end of the season. You committed to this. Now, to me, that's bull. If you want to do that, that's fine. Do so at the end of the season.
I agree with you. What he did was just from a selfish standpoint, and he let down because at some point you got to buy in, and you've got to be a teammate, and you've got 11, 12, 13 other guys that you are in a pact with out there that are all trying to accomplish a goal. And when he's the dude, Kobe King's the dude I would hate to be in the Army with and try to have my back in the Army, because
that's not who you want in the foxhole next to you.
For a fact he's going to be looking out for himself before he's looking out for you, and that's
damn
just
right.
That's not any way. I mean, we're talking life and death situation in the Army, so I don't mean to make a comparison in that. But in basketball, I mean, you want to know that everybody in that room is going to be, is going to fight and scratch and do everything.
Anything that which you're giving your all, you want to know that the guys with you are doing the same.
For sure. And every locker room I've ever been in always has kind of that one guy that we all know is selfish and out for himself, out to get his numbers. And, every team has it. No question about it. We had it at IU.
Absolutely. Hey, Daytona, Tim texted in. It's his birthday week. He wanted to remind you. He'll register at Target or something if you want him to.
Did you say Daytona?
Yeah, Daytona starts this week. Daytona kicks off, baby. NASCAR is back.
In February? That thing happens in February?
Yeah. Yeah, unbelievable. Well, but it's like it doesn't just happen, though. It starts this weekend. It's the Busch Clash. Then they have all kinds of stuff during the week. You got the twin 125 qualifiers. You've got the truck race.
Whoa. You know way too much about this.
All about sports, man. That's what I do.
You said sports. I thought you were talking about Daytona.
Yes, right.
That's not a sport.
Right, exactly. To all the NASCAR fans, it's not a sport. To all those drivers,
it's not a sport.
Mm-hmm.
They're driving a car. So when I drive home today, I'm going to be doing a sport.
Are you going to be doing it at 200 miles an hour with 40 other guys doing the same right beside you?
I'm going to be driving a car with other people right beside me.
That's not what I asked. Are you going to be doing it at 200 miles an hour with 40 200s?
The speed makes it a sport.
The speed and the layout of a special start finish, a specific course. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they categorize it as a sport.
Give me the definition of a sport in your mind.
I don't know. I don't know if a competition, a level of competition.
I love watching. I'm from Indianapolis. I love race car driving. I love watching that. I would never call it an actual sport.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't. I mean, it's like a lot of people. I don't call cheerleading a sport, but it's a very athletic endeavor. It's extraordinarily athletic.
I'm not touching that one.
Well, only reason
stick to race car driving.
Hold on.
We're not going to offend too many people.
Well, hold on. I'm not saying it's not athletic. It's extraordinarily.
It's insanely athletic. I agree.
And I'm saying that the only reason I say it's not a sport is because it is completely and total subjectivity. I can't stand subjective things. It doesn't make it not a sport because it's subjective, but there's no way to truly compete. I think when your only way of determination is subjectivity, it's I hate those things, but
yeah.
Oh well, I mean, it's just that makes it so difficult. But no, it's athletic. It's as athletic as anything. I mean, it's as athletic as any other ball sport that there is. So you're not going to
race car driving. You're talking about?
No, I'm talking about cheerleading.
Cheerleading for sure. I agree with that.
Cheerleading is way more athletic than race car driving.
That's why I'm just saying, like race car.
But
driving,
these guys,
it's fun and awesome. It's cool.
So, do you think that they just get in there and drive around for 3 hours, and it's just anybody can just jump in there and do that?
No, that doesn't make it a sport.
Well,
just because anybody can't do it doesn't make it a sport.
Tell me what makes a sport. Do you have to have a ball for it to be a sport?
Kinda, yeah.
So it has to have a ball to be a sport.
I mean, that's going to say like gymnastics is not a sport and track is not a sport.
Well, that exactly.
Things like that.
Exactly. Because all they're doing is running. Hell, we all run. We all drive a car. We all run. So it's kind of the same thing.
When's the last time you ran?
You got a calendar? You got a calendar?
1991.
I ran in out of the rain the other day.
Okay, good point. Good one. No, I mean, it's just strange to me. It just caught me off guard when you called race car driving a sport. Like I'm not trying to insult sports.
Okay, I Googled this. Hey, here you go. I Googled this, and it's funny, so I got to read this. Definition of sport, entry 2 of 3. 1A, a source of diversion, recreation. B, sexual play. C, physical activity engaged in for pleasure. A particular activity such as an athletic game, so engaged in. Yeah, I believe sport is a ambiguous kind of a thing. But,
yeah.
But fun. But all fun nonetheless. So it's all fun. It's all good. Joker says
the term or the title of it needs to have the word ball in it. Football, basketball.
So
baseball.
they would need. So what you're saying is NASCAR would need to dribble the ball as they're driving around the track.
Yeah.
Hey, what about if they were doing kind of like a lacrosse thing? You had teams where they're swapping that, whatever they call that. Till they swap back.
That would be like polo, only not using horses and using cars.
Yeah. And where you're banging into each other at 200 miles an hour.
People sitting around having these ideas is probably how that Crash Up Derby got started years ago.
You're probably right. So do you know how NASCAR got started?
No.
This is the true story.
Two good old boys drank some beer.
Well, you're not far off. They were bootleggers. They were the bootleggers down there in North Carolina and in Virginia, and they'd have those souped up cars, and then they would race each other. And then that was the actual formation of NASCAR. That's how.
What was the Burt Reynolds show where they drove the
stroke race
across country? No.
Eastbound and Down.
No.
Smokey and the Bandit, baby.
Smokey and the Bandit. I love that show.
Well, Eastbound and Down was the song.
Oh,
yeah. It was a movie. It was one of the greatest movies ever. I love it. It was hilarious.
I think we had this conversation one other time, and I guaranteed you 1,000,000% fact I've watched Smokey and the Bandit more times than you.
And I guarantee it's not possible.
You argued.
It's not possible. It is not possible. We
no
watched that thing. No,
there's no way to prove it. But man, I tell you what, if you've watched it more than me, then I'm impressed.
I love it that you love it. It's all that matters. We watched that. Jackie Gleason was the funniest human. You know, he ad-libbed half of that stuff.
There is no way you came from these.
I mean, he is just freaking funny. That's what we would do. If you just watch Jackie Gleason, you're going to laugh your ass off.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's just and it's not always just what he says, but although what he says was funny as hell, it's how he said it. It was just all those.
I would like for you to refer to me as Junior from now on.
Okay, Junior. My favorite, that was Daddy, my head blew off. I hope your head was in it. I mean, some of the greatest one-liners came from that movie. But one of my favorite scenes is when they're in that.
Your mama right in the mouth.
When they're in that diner and he's chasing Burt Reynolds, and they run into each other by accident in that diner, but he doesn't know who the other one is.
Right. Yeah.
He spits on him, and I got to go. But that's funny stuff, man.
Our show has gone from Dick Vitale to Smokey and the Bandit today.
That means it has been a hell of a show and lots of fun, and I've had a blast. It has been fun, man. We can't thank everybody enough for joining us. Dick Vitale, cannot thank the original PTPer enough for joining us here on the program today. Also, Greg Murray, the voice of the IU women's basketball and men's baseball programs, and Taylor Lehman from Indiana Rivals to Hoosier.com was with us as well. Man, we've had a blast. We've got lots more coming up tomorrow. Special guests. We'll see what we can get scared up for you on this big Friday. As Saturday, don't forget, after the game with Todd Leary's coming to you live from Yogi's after Indiana takes on Purdue. That game tips off at 2:00, so that should put us around 4. And I don't know how long this show is going to go, folks. There's going to be a ton of people in town. We're expecting a ton of special guests. If you can even get into Yogi's, you might want to try to get in there because we are going to rock the house this weekend. But we got lots more coming back tomorrow, Todd.
Yep, it's going to be a fun one. We got a lot of former players, a lot of guys coming into town for some special events this weekend. So Yogi's After the Game show will feature an enormous amount of former players.
Looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. That's going to wrap it up today for us from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back to do it all again tomorrow. Make sure you tune in the same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks a lot to Jake. Keep us on the wheel. My running mate, Todd Leary. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.